morning, ladies and gentlemen. Please sit down. Good morning again. My name is Christina Osene, and it is my pleasure to welcome you to the second Birla Breakfast Forum. Just to give you a brief background on the Breakfast Forum and also on Birla. In 2012, the Asian Institute of Management was provided with a grant through the generosity of renowned family business leaders from India, Mr. Basan Kumar Birla and his late honorable wife, Mrs. Sarala Birla, through which the Basan and Sarala Birla professorial chair in Asian Family Corporations was established. In the last 5 years, the endowment has allowed the institute to undertake several activities within the country and the region and collaborate with international experts within the field of family business. Birla has undertaken primary and secondary research and continues to do so to inform our educational programs to four various stakeholders. Participants of our family business electives and training workshops benefit from original, relevant, and practical insights gained from the experiences of family business workshops and managers in the region. The Birla Breakfast Forum is intended to be a platform to engage with prominent family business leaders and discuss specific themes that are unique to family-owned and managed firms. This could help advance the learning on how to hurdle the challenges associated with growing the family business. Last 2017, we held the first Breakfast Forum entitled Next Generation Leaders Advancing the Family Business, where some of our next generation leaders shared their experiences and management styles in advancing their respective businesses. Today's topic is the anchors of the family business, women in leadership, will be focused on how our three prominent speakers, women leaders in their respective industries, were able to break through the glass ceiling and grow their family business into what we now see. Our esteemed speakers will have 15 minutes each for their presentation. After all three presentations, there will be a Q&A session where the participants can ask the invited speakers to share their views or questions or issues which are of interest to them. We have distributed pieces of paper to our audience where they can use to write their questions, and then you can give them to our Birla staff which are located at the sides. So that later during the Q&A session, we can have them prepared and start asking the questions. So to start with the Breakfast Forum, I would like to introduce our first speaker, Ms. Sandra Ramos Padilla, who is the Managing Director of National Bookstore, the Philippines' biggest bookstore chain with 220 branches and over 2,500 employees. She oversees the entire bookstore's operations, backed up with her degree in Management Engineering from Ateneo de Manila and an MBA from Kellogg Graduate School of Management, Northwestern University. She spearheaded implementation of an enterprise planning software, as well as the establishment of a delivery hotline and e-commerce site. Ms. Sandra continues to lead National Bookstore's transformation and retail innovation by inviting international authors for book signing events, bringing in renowned international brands, and creating specialty stores to meet every Filipino's passion. Please join me in welcoming Ms. Sandra Ramos Padilla.
Good morning. We just set up the Thank you for inviting me this morning. Apparently we published Professor Jeannie's book. So I guess that's why I got invited here. We also published a book about my lola. It's called Open Book, Lessons from Nanay Career. So I'm going to be speaking about some lessons from that book. Okay, so let me share a video from, we recently celebrated our 75th anniversary, so let me share with you this video.
The bookstore that is part of every Filipino story was born here 75 years ago. Nanay Corinne and Tatay Jose Ramos started the small bookshop atop a pansiteria in Escolta. The couple's determination to succeed in the business was tested during the time of war. Pregnant with her twins, Nanay Corinne's entrepreneurial spirit was put into action as she bought unsellable whiskey from a Japanese wholesaler. During the time of liberation, when they lost the store in Escolta, their stock of US-made books and greeting cards, plus their whole bodega of whiskey, brought them back to their feet. However, a strong typhoon ravaged their store and forced them to find a new location for our modest bookstore. From then on, the whole Ramos family worked together in managing the business. And today, it has expanded to more than 200 national bookstore branches all over the country. With sheer hard work, passion, and perseverance, Nanay Corinne and her family transformed their humble bookshop into what it is now. The nation's most trusted bookstore that continues to nurture the passion and inspire the growth of every Filipino.
The story of National Bookstore really started with the story of a couple who was just looking for a way to feed their young family. They wanted to earn a living. Nanay Corinne and Tatay Jose, my lola and lola, they opened a small store selling practically everything. So whatever yung nabili sa bodega, it was whiskey, chinelas, and happened to include also books. Tatay Jose counted the cash and he dispersed it. And my lola, Nanay Corinne, did everything else. So she ordered the stocks, she received them, she displayed them, and after the store closed, would clean the store and would even fix the show window at 3 a.m. Lola has imparted great lessons through her inspiring life, where she showed us how to overcome challenges and adversity and persevere to reach our goals. And she laid the blueprint for the values that made National Bookstore into what it is today. Our first lesson is what she always tells us, to remain humble. I quote, "Remain humble, we are not rich. Don't stick your noses up. We are not above anybody else." Lola would constantly remind us. I was lucky because my Lola has been a mentor to me over the years. But she has, I believe, mentored other young entrepreneurs, who want to supply to National Bookstore, young authors who want to start out distribution. When I was young, she gave me my first set of Nancy Drew and Popsy Twins. And that set me on the road to reading. And when we were younger, during back to school, I would take the bus to go to her office in Rizal Avenue, the #1 store, 701 Rizal Avenue. And she would treat us to our back to school needs. And she'd also let me choose books that I wanted to read. So I could choose any book that would fill my heart's content. And then after college from Ateneo, she recruited me during graduation dinner. And when I started in National, she made me go through all the departments so that I would learn by observing how the departments worked. Accounting, warehouse, and then she made me stay for a long time in a store because that's the core of our business, the store. So I spent a lot of time in National Bookstore Mega Mall. I learned to do the cashiering. and display books, etc. She even wanted me to learn to clean the toilet so that I could tell the people who are cleaning the toilet if it's well done or not. But I assured her I know how to clean the toilet and I didn't have to do it, so I got off from cleaning the toilet of National Bookstore Mega Mall. But she really wanted me to experience everything and learn everything from the bottom to the top. And even with her numerous recognitions, she received awards like Entrepreneur of the Year from Ernst & Young, People of the Year from People Asia. Lola would always prefer to just be called Tindera. Well, maybe a super tindera, but a tindera. She never brags. Though now, what she always boasts is she's like Tarzan. She doesn't get sick. She's 94 years old. She has remained humble, and that is what she wants her children, grandchildren, and even great-grandchildren to be. So from the book, she said, I've always made sure that the younger generations, the grandchildren and the great-grandchildren, don't act spoiled. I want them to work hard. I don't want them to expect that they will inherit money. Walang senyorito, walang senyorita. So the second lesson is, the more time you spend at the store, the more you know. So at a young age, I was exposed to the business. During weekends, my parents would visit the store check, and would bring us along. So again, I was allowed to play at the cashier, and I was taught how to count money like the fast way in the bags. And then we would record the cash sales in the daily sales report, which I think we're still using up to this day. And my dad at that time, my dad would close the stores in Cubao. We had a store in Araneta, Coliseum, and Ali Mall. So the guard would pull the shutters, my dad would put the padlock and close the store. And then after, he would treat us to Chassis Wonton Min in Lingnam, in the Ali Mall food court. So that early exposure to the business, I guess, eventually led me to help out. For years, I used to run the purchasing department for books, which was what my Lola focused on. So I helped her out. And she taught me everything in her playbook, like meeting publishers, negotiating discounts, giving customers the best price possible to give them value. She also, I was able to also join her one time in New York for the book fair there, which I still attend to this day. And it really gave me a deeper knowledge of the business my family was into. So some of our family traditions are also incorporated in the business family traditions. So on Thursdays, like today, we would have lunches with Lola, with all the department managers and area managers, where we would coordinate. That's what we call a coordination meeting, where we would coordinate interdepartmental issues. So actually, I have to run after this. After this, I have to run out and go join the meeting. So we still do that to this day. And another tradition that Lola has started, that we still do now, we open this. We try to be present at every store. We don't start selling without blessing a store. And then we have these little traditions like there's a mask, then we cut the ribbon, and then throw coins inside, syempre. And then there's always a Santo Niño that has to be installed. And then we all eat together after, and it's usually pancit, puto, barbecue. So those are the traditions that we have continued to this day. Another thing she taught us is that knowledge is power. Lola's hopes of becoming a doctor or even attending college were never fulfilled. She came from the school of hard knocks. She would always say, ay, high school graduate lang ako. She went to Arellano High School, which is a public high school, but both Ateneo La Salle gave her doctorates for humanities, honoris causa. Maybe AIM would like to give her an honorary MBA or Master's in Entrepreneurship. So Lola never stopped learning. Up to this day, Lola still reads the three major newspapers from cover to cover. And then ang gusto niya, so she would cut the clippings out and send them to us. Sandra, basahin mo ito. She would always tell us to keep on learning by asking questions and grilling the person, whether he's a supplier or a banker or landlord. And her work ethic is that she's a perfectionist. She holds her standards high and she pushes us to work hard. And so she instilled in us the importance of learning. So even after I got my MBA, years ago, I won't say how long, 16 years, I still try to learn new things, like attend conferences, training, seminars. So it's great that we have this kind of forum. And I'm still learning how to be like the best leader I can be. And lesson 4, happiness is helping people. So we have the National Bookstore Foundation. Lola started from nothing, but even as she became successful, she never failed to help others. So it has also been our passion to give, to help others. And so what our foundation does is like we focus on things that projects that support learning and education. So we partner with public schools to provide whole libraries of books to students. And then we also do that Project RL kit. Our customers buy them and then we distribute to some of the most underserved towns in the country. So at least a student can continue to go to school because they have two notebooks, a pencil, eraser, and sharpener. Kasi, di ba, parang maybe the tuition was free, but if they don't have the tools for school, then they couldn't continue. And last year, we built our 500th library and gave away almost 300,000 Project Arrow kits, bringing hopes and dreams to so many children, putting smiles on their faces. My Lola said, pag nakatulong ako ng tao at masaya sila, masaya na rin ako. We also built there was this author also who was so touched by Typhoon Haiyan, si Mitch Albom. So we are building 10 libraries in the typhoon affected regions. So we have libraries in Tacloban built by Mitch Albom and National Bookstore. Lesson 5, it takes time to build something. So from the core of Lola's values of sipag at saka, her work ethic, we built a new national bookstore. So we've taken a lot of steps in the recent years to help us move forward to the future, probably digital future. So what used to be a small quaint store in Manila is now over 235 branches all over the country. Last year, we opened 18 NBS stores, and then we created new concept sports stores. We have one nearby, noteworthy Greenbelt 5, which sells high-end lifestyle stationery, and an art bar in Serenja, so all the professional artists' needs. But we don't have space to display in the normal national bookstore. And then we'll be opening a kids' books, toys concept store where they can learn and play. And we also opened an outlet store. It's in Santa Rosa, Laguna, if you were ever there. And then, of course, we also are fixing our back-end operations to be more efficient. We implemented SAP so that we could have one source of truth. So, and we're the first in the Philippines to run SAP on the cloud. We just did this last September. If someone asks me for a book, actually if you call customer service, we have this system where you can check availability. So you can text me or you can call our hotline at 8888-67. So we just look up the book and then we can tell where the book is. And soon we can mine the data so we can understand the different clusters of customers, customer buying habits, patterns, and can create better assortments and replenish the store better. And then we're also building our supply chain capacity because it's not that easy to distribute to 235 stores in far-flung islands. So before, maybe we just have 20 stores. It was much simpler then, but now it's quite a logistics effort to distribute it. As for example, Dan Brown's Origin, we get it kunyari 2 days before the release date. We have to deploy that like in 2 days. So it takes a whole supply chain to make that happen. So last year we increased our capacity by about 50%. We have this warehouse behind our office, but we got more warehouses through third-party logistics partners to increase our capacity. And we opened a distribution center in Cebu as well to serve the Visayas and Mindanao areas. And then we're preparing for like a mega distribution center next year. We also invite popular writers to the country to allow our customers to engage with their favorite authors. Last year, we organized 11 foreign author events, mostly like young adults. And it includes like a literary festival, which we also have nearby. Maybe you can join us in August. And we have it in the Fairmont. Then we had 85 local writers' engagements, book launches, including yours. And these excite the reading community and keep them reading. We also launched new collaborations with different personalities, like Rachel Laurel, Daphne Osenia Paez, Chuvanes, and they have their own spin on what lifestyle stationaries should be, and we have all these offerings like for Christmas in National Bookstore. So something different for stationery. And then we find new ways to reach our customers in different touch points in their journey. So we're revamping the Lucky National Card. We're going to pack it with more offers and features, like if you spend so much, then you earn discounts, etc. And we're also launching, we've been using a paper gift certificate, so we're moving to the gift card in February. And we launched our website, a new website with a more robust one. And since our customers are on mobile, we will be offering a mobile app as well. And we've been active on social media, and like we try to we create compelling content and boost our posts, and so we can reach more customers. And I mean, these are the views of our different posts, and showing our customers to really engage with us through social media. We did a Viber stickers last back to school. And we also partnered with Chris Aquino. Like, for example, she and I would go shopping in National Bookstore Glorieta for Bimbi's back to school needs. And actually that reached like 2.5 million views. And we even won an international award for native advertising, the best use of influencer. On the we also used our social media platform to promote corporate social responsibility through the Read Out Loud Challenge. And we're proud to say that 7,500 videos, our target, were posted. And as promised, we will build an additional 100 libraries this year. We also introduced the first books and supplies truck through the NBS Learning on Wheels. We are continuously improving the customer experience, not just in-store, but online. And as I mentioned, we have a new website. We also have new delivery services and payment options. So we can order online and pay upon delivery. And of course, training our employees is very important in delivering customer service. So we embarked on a big project for their continuous learning with the inauguration of our learning center, the NBS Academy. So because we find that we're opening so many stores, then we need more managers and more people to be prepared to run them. We need store managers, area managers, and so on. And as I mentioned, knowledge is power, and she instilled it in us that education is important. So, and by Back to School 2018, we're officially opening doors to the NBS College, where we will offer courses in entrepreneurship, tourism, accounting, and library science. So with all of that, we do believe that what Lola said, if you work hard, nothing is impossible. So she said there's no elevator to success. You have to take the stairs. And it's really very challenging to synergize and integrate all our efforts and service our 235 stores, but that is what we are trying to do. And it's not easy, but we believe that, as Lola said, if we work hard, we can achieve our goals. Actually, she said, alam nyo, wala naman akong masyadong iiwan sa inyo, konting pera. And I said, Lola, yung isang tindahan na pinundar nyo na binuksan nyo, ay naging 235 stores. Nagulat siya, ha? 235 stores? Sino nagbukas nun? Or like, sino nagpapatakbo? Sino nagtatrabaho doon? Kasi gusto niya kasi dati, she had 3 kids, right? So, BBC. So she planned to have maybe 26 stores kasi sana A to Z yung kids niya. But she only had 3. But she had to learn to like let go and let others take care of the store. So so I confidently answered our managers are the ones running the stores. Kasi ako po nagtatrabaho po ako doon. I hope that's okay with her. All the challenges that we are facing as we strive to transform our business will be overcome with sipag and tiyagas. And by staying true to these lessons, as Lola promised. So this is our during 75th anniversary, like our management team, which we've built up in the last few years. And may I leave you with this quote from Nanay Corinne: if you have the love and passion for what you do, hard work is no longer a sacrifice. It will become a joy. I think I'm lucky that my passions match with my family's business, and I love stationery, books, and retail. And I'm glad to be part of National Bookstore. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sandra, for your inspiring stories and also interesting quotes from your Lola. We really appreciate hearing them because we don't really hear this side when we look at national bookstores. So anyway, I would like to invite our next speaker. Our next invitee is Ms. Maria Esther Colosco Bautista, who is the President and Treasurer of companies under the CL Colosco Group, a multi-company organization engaged in trading, manufacturing, agriculture, finance, and other industries. She is also the financial consultant and business mentor. She has been the country's official representative to various international conferences organized by ASEAN, APEC, and the United Nations. Moreover, she is an officer and member of the board of several non-profit organizations involved in education, entrepreneurship, science and technology, and agriculture. As a female business leader, she addresses several seminars and conventions on a variety of topics like entrepreneurship, investments, credit management, and venture capital. Please join me in welcoming Ms. Maria Esther Colosco Bautista.
So good morning, everybody. That was a very good talk. I learned a lot. We're 23 years behind, and younger than your company, where our first company was established 52 years ago. Anyway, since we're in an engineering, manufacturing, agricultural, machinery industries, entitled my topic, Re-Engineering Women Leadership. Okay, so first, so we're supposed to talk about our journey as a woman leader. So this is my, if I'm an engineering product, my specifications are this. I'm an only girl. I have 3 brothers. I have 2 sons. And most of my family, my relatives are males. And these male members of my clan are mostly in engineering and sciences. So it's really male dominated. And so even my father has a disproportionate number of engineering degrees. He has 4. So talagang engineering and science kami. So our businesses, as I said, were in mga tractors, engines, power plants, tangke. So it's all about, it's a male-dominated industry. Okay, my mother, I was born in an era, an age, and environment where the women take a back seat. I don't have to look far. My mother, who is a lawyer, she turned her back on her practice to take care of us. Okay, so that's my specifications. Prototyping, how my parents designed us. Okay, so my father designed us, especially me, in a way that an engineer would. Logical, analytical, what else? Logical, analytical, productive, and efficient. So all through our lives, it's this running in and out of our system. You have to be productive, efficient, and he doesn't have to teach us because he lived it, so we can see it every day. And my husband would attest to this because one of his favorite stories would be he couldn't believe that in our regular Sunday lunch, family lunch, he was amazed at our family discussing the most efficient. It's very animated and very vibrant discussion of the most efficient way to eat corn on the cob. So is it like that or like that? So these are just samples of how every day it's little things about efficiency, productivity. So our parents really had a very big influence in our character. My summers, our teenage summers, or even as early as 8, 9 years old, we were interns at the family corporation. That time, 52 years ago, when he started it, it was just one corporation, very small. He started it with 5,000 pesos at that time, 1966. So we were interning. My brother started cleaning the warehouses, the bodega. I started, at a very young age, I already knew how to operate office machines, which the young people do not know of anymore now. The telex, those things. So I did that, and then, but we had fun. We made sure we had fun. We went to the beach, we went traveling, so it's a combination. And that early on, we were impressed on the social responsibility. So I think CSR wasn't yet a buzzword, we were already doing it. Okay, and so the values formation started very early. My mother, on the other hand, she smoothed things on my femininity, how to cook, how to take care, how to be organized. So that's her contribution to me in prototyping. My brothers, for good measure, they taught me how to be tough, to be able to withstand their teasings. So since I'm the only girl, I'm always saling pusa in their all boys only games, basketball, baseball. So that gave me a bit of toughness. So the initial design came out, the prototype. So I had to do product improvement by myself, with the help of my parents. So I took a different path. I studied college. I didn't take engineering. I took business economics, where I met the campus beauty, Olive Limpe. She was younger than me, but we were together in the same college. I took up engineering, not engineering, economics. After college, we were required to work outside the family business. So I guess for professionalism and to learn the best practices outside. So we had to work outside. And then after that, I studied again. I took my master's, this time in a different setting. So I learned, my perspective was wider. I was exposed to different culture, different way of life, advanced technology, advanced management systems. So there, I continued my pursuit of knowledge and to improve myself. Now, the leadership should come in somehow, no? So at that time, let me see. At that time, my father was already highest ranking Filipino multinational executive. In fact, he was credited to be the inventor of the first Asian utility vehicle, the first AUV, the Ford Fiera. If you don't know the Ford Fiera because you're too young, that's the grandfather of the FX, or the great-grandfather of the FX, the grandfather of your Innova, your whatever car, the AUV now you call, no? So aside from being a top-level consultant for the United Nations in Geneva, so he has a lot of, he was fairly known in the industry and civic circles, but he left all this to grow his business. So one small business became three at the time. So he was growing his business, still in agricultural machinery fabrication. And then he was given an opportunity to serve the country. So he took that opportunity, he joined government, and so this is the start of my journey. I had to come back because he had to turn it over, the businesses to us, because to avoid conflict of interest. So I came back. Okay. But then, I started from the beginning. I was an entry level, MBA na, no? Entry level pa rin. I went through credit, accounting, I went to I had to climb my way up the ladder. There were no special privileges. I had to, ngayon biometrics, dati kami, bandy clock. So I had to punch my time card. I had to adhere with company rules and regulations. So talagang an ordinary employee. And everybody in the company knows that we were not supposed to be treated in a special way. Okay, so that started my journey. Along the journey, we had repairs and maintenance. We had challenges. So I considered my journey to have three major challenges. The first is maintaining work-life balance. I have to work full-time. You see how slave driver, how my father was a very hard worker. I had to work full-time. I had to balance my time between my industry associations, my other organizations. At the same time, I had a family. So I was expected to take care of my kids, my family, my husband. I'm supposed, since I'm the only girl in my own family, I'm supposed to take care of the administrative matters of my extended family. And then what else? I have to take care of my health and wellness, my leisure, my social life. So how to balance this? Again, I credit it to having a very supportive husband. So find a supportive husband. But more than that, it's years of training in time management, efficiency, productivity. So I was able to balance somehow. My children grew up well. I think they're doing so well, and then I'm kind of healthy, and so I was able to balance. At the same time, I was the chairperson of the whole grade school of my children. So it's in Quezon City, I'm in Makati, so I still manage, no? So I think we did well there. Okay, the second major challenge is, so from 1 to 3 companies, and we're supposed to grow it and expand. Otherwise, you'll be eaten by competition, by, so many things happen and you might lose everything. So you have to keep on expanding. So how to do this? In a field that we're really not so, we're not an expert at. But, there are several solutions for this, and most important is you have to know what your business is. You have to have the passion for it. You have to work hard, study the business, and most importantly, we focus on our mission, vision, and our values. We focus on our core competencies. That's why we were able to grow, and also we focused on serving our 5 major stakeholders, which are the employees. We took care of our employees, our customers, the members of our supply chain, the stockholders, which is the family also, and the community. So these 5 stakeholders, as long as you take care of them, serve them well, I think you will be able to grow and expand. So from 3 companies that my father entrusted to us, we are now into 18 companies. So my siblings and myself, we collaborated to come up with 18 companies in different industries. We are now in food, we have a venture capital, we have finance, we have consultancy, all in products and services not very known to the general public. We're in power plants, we're in tanks, water tanks. Okay, the third major challenge is how to manage people's expectations amid my father's long shadow. So you see, I mentioned 4 engineering degrees and highest Latin honors in those 4 engineering degrees, plus topping the board exams in those degrees. What else? International awards, local awards, and he was he accomplished a lot. So how do you manage people's expectations? First, since I was shadowing him, I really did my best to learn a lot from him. I took down notes. I really asked a lot of questions. I really absorbed everything that he was teaching. So I knew how he thought, why he thought that way. I imbibed the values and the principles. That was how I was able to somehow come out of the shadow and be my own person. But still, I have his name in my middle name. So he was able to make me thrive in an environment that is male dominated, and not only that, he made me thrive in an environment that expected a lot from being a daughter of my father. So those are the three major challenges for me. So after, gender was never an issue to him, and nor age, nor background, nor order of birth. So it was all based on fairness and merit. So it's easy to step out of his shadow. Okay, so there's a product upgrade, succession. So this time, continuous improvement pa. Nasaan ba? Nawala. So there's a continuous improvement. I keep on studying, learning, and just like Sandra, I keep on attending seminars. Even, if there's a new topic, like there's digital marketing, I would attend. The people beside me are so young. I'm the oldest. So I love to attend these seminars, learnings. You have to be updated in the latest trends, no? So, and at the same time, I learned from a lot of people. I'm a member of the board of a lot of civic organizations, NGOs, foundations, and I learned a lot from my fellow board members who are equally knowledgeable in a lot of different things. So, that's my continuous design and improvement. So product upgrade is now where I am at, no? After working for 30 years, more or less 30 years in the family businesses, I have a more challenging role now, and that is to ensure that succession is smooth, to ensure that the third generation is ready to take on the challenge, is ready to embody the ideals and values started by our patriarch, and to continue to grow and expand the businesses. And so that's and continue to contribute to nation building. So that's my role now. So I re-engineered my leadership. The first part of the leadership is the traditional. You direct, you mentor them, you guide them, you strategize, you do the visioning. Now there's a part two, which I added. It's the non-traditional part that now it's time for me to know when to step back, to let them shine, do their thing, probably make mistakes, probably make their own decisions, and then to let go and move on to another challenge. So the reason why family succession probably is not very effective for others, they forget part two. Or probably they don't know when to do part two, or probably they end in letting go but not moving on to a new challenge. So that's my product upgrade. That's how I re-engineered leadership. And finally, if I am a product that I sell, I come with a manual of instructions. So this is my manual of instructions for you. Number one, so you see included in the box, what is essential for the leaders? Passion, respect, integrity, creativity, and humility. Same as Sandra's lessons of her Lola. And the next is read instructions carefully. So leaders, future leaders, listen and learn. The next is turn the power on. Hindi aandar kung hindi naka-on. So, for me, that means there's no substitute for hard work, for discipline, for efficiency and productivity. Fourth is upgrade regularly. Your apps, you upgrade regularly. yourself as a leader, you do continuous training, continuous education, continuous improvement. Next is safety information. This is to be able to withstand the challenges of your journey as a leader. Be positive and achieve a work-life balance. Now, you should go to authorized service centers, di ba? This, for me, is you go get good mentors, get good role models. In the younger people's term now, Pet Malu Idol, you get Pet Malu Idol. Okay, and next is only buy original, use original and authentic parts. So for me, believe in yourself, believe in others, the capability of other people, and most especially, believe in God or your maker. Lastly, the return and exchange policy. Give back. So I hope with that, these are our companies. With that, you learned a thing or two about women leadership, and I hope the future leaders here, the current leaders, not only do well, but also do good. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Maria Esther. That was a very interesting discussion on how your father was able to, I mean, he didn't really care about those glass ceilings in the family. So I would like to invite our next and not the least of our speakers. It is my pleasure to introduce Ms. Olivia Limpeao. Ms. Olivia Limpeao is a fifth generation master blender. She is the president and CEO of Distilleria Limpeao Co. & Co. Inc., the oldest distillery in the Philippines and the quality leader in the Philippine liquor industry. She is also currently the president of Distilleria Limpeao subsidiaries, Archipelago Water Products International Inc., bottler of Rainforest Natural Mineral Water, and the chief operating officer of Convoy Marketing Corporation, a full-service marketing and distribution company operating nationwide. A hands-on executive, she has gained a wealth of experience in all aspects of management, from finance, HR and admin, production to sales and marketing and IT. She's also a strong advocate of export development and the adoption of quality systems to strengthen one's organizations to be globally competitive. Please join me in welcoming Ms. Olivia Limpeao.
Thank you. If I just have, can I make a correction? You pronounce it Distilleria Limpeao.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. No. So you've heard a lot of lessons from the first two speakers, Sandra and Marek, and I think a lot of it that I will be sharing with you has also been mentioned, but I'll just go through it quickly since we only have 15 minutes, but maybe I'll spend more time on the things that they didn't mention, right? So we are the oldest distillery in the Philippines. We have been in business for like 165 years and fifth generation. And this is the only distillery that's still owned by the original family, the Limpe family. So it's my own family. And we are also the oldest manufacturing company. In 1998, there was a Centennial Business Partners Award given by the Department of Trade. And amongst the companies, we were the first and the oldest manufacturing. A lot of them were in trading. So here we have 5 generations. The picture there in the middle. Here, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So here, the picture in the middle is our original distillery in Gander Street in Binondo. And from there we moved to Grace Park, it burned down, we moved to Grace Park, and then in the 50s we moved to North EDSA, that's where we are right now. There, so 5 generations. Thank God I don't look like them, diba? So, Joke lang. So we have to have a sense of humor in business, okay? So, and it, to make it lighter, the discussion today. So the first generation, okay, so the first generation, so 5 generations, okay, so, yeah. So we have 5 generations, like, sorry, yeah, okay. So how did we get this far? So for us, we believe that each generation must contribute something to the company for its growth, despite the trials that we've gone through, the ups and downs, whatever it is, we never give up. That's why we're still here today. So just to give you a brief on the company, the first generation is the founder. He came from China, in Xiamen, China, and he brought with him a bittersweet brew, a Chinese medicinal wine called Shok Hok Tong, which later became the generic term Shok Tong, referring to medicinal wine. And this became very popular and the best-selling product of the company. We still have it today. We keep it for posterity, but it's not something we really promote because a lot of the competition now make it with just flavors, and it's hard for us to compete because we are still using the original formula, using Chinese herbs that we import from China. But we will do something to upgrade it for sure. Now, second generation, it was passed on to his nephew because his children, he had 2 children, a son and a daughter. The son died early, and the daughter, of course, wasn't interested. At that time, women were not really involved in the business. So it was passed on to his nephew, named Chai Sen, who is my great-grandfather. And during the Spanish time, he was said to have to know how to speak Spanish, Chinese, Filipino, and we learned how to make spirits from the Spaniards. We made rums and gins, and like that. See, these are some of our old labels there. And then it was passed on to his son, James Limpe, my grandfather, who was educated in the U.S. He was one of the first few Filipino Chinese that got their degrees in the United States. So he was an English teacher. He graduated from the University of Washington. And during his time, we moved already to our second plant in Grace Park. And he was the first to introduce whiskey to the Philippines. We imported Four Feathers whiskey. So that's how they promoted it there. During the liberation time, they would promote whiskey in the streets, And here in the 50s, that's my mother. So you know where I took after my mother. So if you know Tosca vodka, it was a product of the 50s. This was the launching of Tosca vodka with my mother and my grandfather. And my father, of course my father is handsome, but I don't want to look like a man. Okay? So my father is the 4th generation, Julius Limpe. He was really the industrialist. He grew the business. He expanded our product lines. He was an inventor. He had patents for the acceleration of aging of spirits. And he expanded our plants. We had so many plants that he built, and our facilities were modernized. We have the only gin pot still, copper pot still from Germany. Up to this day, we're the only company that has it. And he's the man behind the White Castle whiskey. And the iconic ad of the girl on the horse, the red bikini, that was his creation. So he was really a very creative man. Ahead of his time, he was non-traditional, he was revolutionary. He didn't care what people think. He knew exactly what the masses wanted, and he gave it. And he really was bold and unafraid to try new things. So I'm not going to show you this anymore. That's the White Castle girls. It's going to take too much time, but he also developed like the Maria Clara Sangria. We had All Captain Rum, Napoleon VSOP. We had such a huge range of products during his time. So that's where I learned product development. He was really a very, very prolific producer of new products, and a very good marketer. There. The El Hombre Tequila flavored spirit was also his creation. Yes. And that's me, 5th generation. So why? that was one of the challenges during his time that he didn't have a son. My father had 7 daughters. So look at that, there's 6 of us, one of my sisters wasn't there, the youngest. So unlike Myra, who was the only daughter, in our case we're all women, right? So that was one of the challenges of the 4th generation. So what, especially for the Chinese families, right, they expect you to have a male successor to the business, and it's the liquor business, so it's even in the whole world, it's not really normal to have a woman to lead a distillery or even a winery. So what did he do? What did he do? So, like my dad, I also tried to mirror him and, to be, so that, he would be happy with me. I tried my best, I also learned how to develop utility models, so I'm also an inventor. I improved on his aging of spirits, and I have some patents like for new products as well. So, and I also developed a whole range of products, So I developed this starting in 2002. We started with the Paradise Mango Rum Liquor when it wasn't in fashion to have fruit-based liquors in the Philippines, right? And then I expanded to our coffee. We have Amadeo Coffee Liquor, we have Manila Liquor de Calamansi, we have batch distilled rum called Very Old Captain. I upgraded this Old Captain to a Very Old Captain rum. And we also improved on the regional products, like for Bassi, I made Bassi, I branded it Vegan Bassi because that's it's a product of the Ilocos region. And I tried to improve it by making it in accordance with international accepted winemaking processes. And then we gave it good packaging, right? So we also have Dragon Fruit Wine from Ilocos Norte, and we have a cacao liquor, which we make with fermented cacao beans in a brandy base, and I named it Intramuros because it was the Spaniards that introduced a cacao and brandy to the Philippines. And as a tribute product, I developed 100% corn whiskey, and I called it Julius James. Julius is my father and James is my grandfather. So it is a tribute product to the 3rd and 4th generation master blenders of our company who were the purveyors of whiskey in the Philippines. So that's my gift to my dad, because he passed away like 3 years ago. So we introduced that last year. So there. So like Sandra and Marek, we also developed our own ERP. It's so important now to have your back office system. So it was an internet-based system developed by local IT people, and that's probably 10 years ago, and up to now we're still using it and we're upgrading the system. We call it our we call it our Empire Distribution Enterprise Solution. So that's our back office system. And then we're also, as mentioned in the introduction, our plants are also ISO 9000 certified, and we always make sure that we upgrade to the new version. And we're always the first to upgrade. We're always the first company to be certified for the new version. So we take pride in that. And of course, we're exporters of our products. So now that's the challenge of my father. What do you do? What do you do that you don't have a male successor and you're stuck with ladies, your daughters? So what did he do? You just have to prepare. You just choose one. Right? Choose one among the 7, and then you prepare her for the responsibility and the role she is to take on. And, as they say, you start early, because it takes about 10 years to be a manager, it takes about 20 years to be able to run a business. It takes that long, because there's so many things to learn. As they say, you're like a jack of all trades and master of none, but it's really not master of none. You have to be a master of your industry, your business. But if I'm in the liquor business, I have to be a master of making liquors, but I can be a jack of all trades of all the others. But like your Lola Corinne, right? She's mastering, she knows how to choose the books because that's her line of business. Like Marit, your dad, master in engineering because that's his line of business. But you have to know all aspects of the business. But you can hire people to help you with that, but you should know the technical side of it. Okay, so now, training, of course, since you want to prepare that person or your daughter, you have to start from childhood. So again, as I said, don't spoil. Instill good values, practice. That's very general, whether man or woman, right? It's applicable. Stress the importance of having a good name and integrity. I think we all, heard that earlier. Raise them to believe that men and women are equal. Because my parents had no choice. So they raised me that way. From the time I was a child, I was indoctrinated. Man or woman, you're the same. And besides, I come from a family of strong women. My grandmother, my maternal grandmother, was also a civic woman leader in the Chinese society. And my mother was also a very strong woman, is a very strong woman. And so I learned from them. So I'm lucky to have very strong role models in the family. Because I think coming from a family of sisters, and if I didn't have a strong female, role models in the family, it would be very difficult. Like in Marit's case, she had brothers. She had brothers to toughen her, right? So, but if you're all women, you gotta have, somebody to lead you and to guide you and to expose you to how it is to be strong. Because normally, when you're young, fathers tend to spoil daughters. So if you want to be strong, it's the role of the mother to teach the daughter, I believe, when you're young. Of course, when you're older, then your father can take on that responsibility to teach him, how to be tough in business. Okay, so expose your children to the business early on, which we heard also earlier. Let them help out even whilst in school. See, this is the same. And then, see, the plant was my playground. I'm the child on the left, on your left. See, when I was young, my parents would bring us to the plant, and we could roam around wherever we wanted. So it was like normal for us. I could climb the stairs and look at all the tanks and go to the aging warehouse. And it was normal. So expose them early on. Yeah. So don't make them feel it's a chore, right? This one I learned from, if you know the designer Roberto Coin, the designer of jewelry, he said he also has sons, but he's in the jewelry business, and he's a man, right? So I said, how did you get your son to be involved and interested in the business? And he says, enchant them with the business. So enchant, in many ways, maybe he meant he gives them a lot of money, I don't know, but enchant them. Of course, and then stress the value of education. But my mother, my father never really pushed us to achieve honors. If you want to do it because you want it for yourself. But they didn't make it a requirement that you graduate with honors. And constant learning, as Marit says, constant learning. It's never ending. Oh, and also, we're lucky that we took up business economics. Because economics, I would say, is very helpful in business because we learn conceptual thinking. And that's why she's able to go into different businesses because it helps you learn new things quickly. So I think we're lucky to have chosen that course, although when we were studying it, we asked the question, why did we take this course? Yeah, but later on we found out that it's very helpful in business. So encourage them to read and learn outside of schoolwork, expose them to the world early on, the real world, because business is reality. In Chinese they say business is warfare. So, expose them to the real, how it is in the real world and how they have to compete in the real world. Don't let them live a life in a bubble because they're just going to fail in life, Teach them to have EQ, empathy, very important for future leadership roles, and stress the importance of loyalty. Not everything in life is about money. Okay. Here, now, these now are my own lessons of being a woman in a man's world. Okay? Don't expect special treatment just because you're a woman. You're not gonna get it. Okay? Be ready to compete with anyone you need to compete with because gender is not an issue. If you want to be part of that group, you want to be accepted in the group, compete. Okay? Understand the male psyche. What motivates them, their modes of thinking, their modes of acting, their modes of interacting. It was more difficult for me because I come from a family of all sisters. So my observation is from other people. So I have to observe them, talk to them, get to know them, so you can understand who they are, why they act this way, why they talk this way, why they behave this way. Because men and women are really different. So if you understand the male psyche, half the battle is won. Okay? Okay. So since we want entry into the circle, we must be prepared to make the adjustment. We are the one entering into this male circle. So we adjust. Eventually, once you gain entry into that circle, they will adjust to you. Right? So that's really how it is. And then expect them to test you before allowing you entry into their circle. Okay? Don't take it personally. It's human nature. So there was a time I was buying ads. I'm customer. So I sit with this owner of this big radio station, and he grills me for like 30 minutes. Okay? He grills me. I knew he was grilling me because he wanted to know if I was the real decision maker. If I took it personally, then I wouldn't get a good deal. So I just went through with it, and after all his questions, I answered them straight, as frank as I can, and as truthful as I can. And after, it's like, okay, you're okay. Then we negotiated our deal. So you get that a lot if you're working in a male-dominated setting or society or environment. So expect it. It's nothing unusual. You know, accept it, go through with it, get it over and done with, and you'll be okay. Prove yourself and do it well. You really have to prove yourself. I'm sorry, I wish it were otherwise, but no. You have to prove yourself. And learn the hard stuff, the technical side of the business to earn their respect. So I had to go to alcohol school. I had to learn how to ferment, distill, how to blend. If we have to climb ladders to look at the tanks, I have to do that, So you have to really know your business. Otherwise, you talk about something, you give them a blank stare, they're not going to respect you. But if you can answer and converse with them and you can contribute, then they know you know your stuff, you're okay. Now, you can be tough on the outside, but soft on the outside. No one wants to deal with a woman who looks like a man. Okay? So, look at him laughing. True, right? That's very true. So you can be a tough businesswoman. You can be really tough on the inside, but you maintain your femininity. Even children like to look at more attractive people, right? So even, of course, the men more so. Okay? So, never want to look like a man. Okay, then balance male and female thought processes in making decisions. Know when to use what, depending on the situation. If you have all the time in the world, you know what they say about, men are from Mars and women are from Venus, right? They say that women are poor decision makers or slow decision makers only because we're web thinkers. Before we make a decision, we think about all the repercussions, how this is going to affect this and that, how about the feelings of this person, I don't want to hurt this person. If you have all the time in the world, it's okay. It's okay to think like a woman because you really think things through very well. But there are instances where you have to decide like a man in cases of emergency. You don't have much time, right? But always balance it. Sometimes it also pays to use your instincts, So know when you have the time to, think and decide as a woman, when it should be like a man, when you can do a combination. But, try your best to balance things and knowing when to use what during certain situations and occasions. Yeah. Number 11, know your limitations and be realistic. For instance, what do I say? Know your limitation. I'm in the liquor business, so people always expect me to drink. But the truth is, I'm not a drinker. Right? And when people ask me, why don't you drink? Or they challenge me, you should drink because you're in the liquor business, I always tell them, I drink for work, I don't drink for socials. Which is true, I drink for work because I make the spirits. I have to drink as part of my work. But sometimes, of course, like if you're closing a deal, they may want to get you drunk, so you can probably give more discounts or whatever, right? So I always politely tell them, I'm really sorry, but whatever you're going to say, even if you insult me, if I don't want to drink, I'm not going to drink. Because I know the effect on me. Because I'm not really a good drinker, so I don't want to drink. So know your limitation. Know when to say no. But say it politely, say it diplomatically, but know when to put your foot down. Okay? Third, know when to say no and when to put your foot down. And show courage, strength, and independence. When you're dealing in a man's world, you have to be independent. You have to show that you're not afraid, that you're courageous, that you have the strength. But also have humility, be practical, and don't be judgmental. That is one thing I learned. Like women, we like to judge people. So when I'm with women, I can be judgmental. But when I'm with the men, I don't want to be judgmental, because they don't want to talk to you anymore once you judge them. So learn when you can be what, depending on who you're with and the situation you're in. Okay, on the social side of things, okay, be an expert at widening your network. Because men like to do a lot of networking. It's very important for business. Okay? So sometimes I don't like to attend events, but every time I attend an event, I get to meet somebody I need to know or somebody that I need help with. So I try my best to attend as much as I can if my schedule permits. And always be open, You never know who you'll meet. I met so many people who helped me and so many people who I've done business with through parties. So always be open to network. Know your current events and other topics of interest to men, because they like to talk about politics, about business, about actually they're also very chismoso, so you have to know what's going on in society, diba? So know your current events and social stories, because if they know that you don't know people, you don't know anything, you're boring, nobody wants to talk to you. So develop that. Develop friendships and long-term relationships. And modulate your voice. This one my mother taught me. You see, even Margaret Thatcher had to learn how to modulate her voice. Her natural voice is kind of high pitch. But then, if you watch the movie, they had to teach her to modulate her voice, because modulating your voice it's like a sign of authority. No? If you're talking to somebody in a high-pitched tone, it's like nobody will take you seriously. But if you modulate your voice, you speak with authority. That's also a lesson I learned from my mother. Okay, looking good is very important in the real world, so you take care of yourself, right? Always dress appropriately. So you want people to take you seriously, dress seriously. You want them not to take you seriously, you dress in frou-frou clothes. But normally in business, you're expected to dress the way we're dressed today, right? But in parties, you can be more flamboyant depending on the occasion, but if it's a business event, you still dress as expected. Of course, extra skills come in handy, like sports, singing, and dancing. I don't sing, but if the contract requires me to sing, if I have to sing and close a contract, I will sing. And I only have one song, that's Top of the World. Practice it. Okay. So, now, balancing family and business. So for me, it's really hard. No, Marit, it's really hard. So for me, it's important that I explain, since my children were young, I explain the demands of the business on their mommy. Of course, I have to have good health. Without good health, you cannot possibly do your work properly because you're always worried who's taking care of my children. I was fortunate to have very good yayas and We call them all yayas at home anyway. So my yaya has been with me for like 30 years, almost 30 years. So I'm lucky to have somebody like a surrogate mother to my kids. And since we're really deeply, involved in the business, it's like not really a work-life balance. Well, in my balance is maybe 60-70% of my time is for business, and then the rest for family, and maybe a small percentage for myself, but that's the balance. The balance is not 50-50. It depends on your business, what your balance is. But whatever your balance is, your family should know it, your husband, your children should understand it, and that everybody must make an effort to be together, no matter how limited the time, or we must all make an effort to be together. Otherwise, you will disintegrate as a family. And you may be the boss at work, but not at home. So if you have to play the supporting role at home, play it well. So you can be a tiger in the office, but you should be a kitten at home. Or maybe not a kitten, a cat. Or maybe a kitten in bed. I don't know. Just joking. Anyway. Yeah, because you have to have sense of humor in business. Huh? You know when to be serious, and then sometimes you have to have a sense of humor, okay? And then taking on the leadership role means you oftentimes have to put your interests the last. Because you have to take care of so many people. The business, diba? Sabi nga ni Marian, 5 stakeholders, right? So the stakeholders, the shareholders, right? Your family, or your immediate family, your extended family, and you're always the last. But always give time. Even no matter how little time, give time for yourself, or else you'll feel miserable. You will feel shortchanged. So always give time for yourself. Okay, on family dynamics, this is one of the questions. How do you manage family relations in a professional business setting? It's very hard, but you have to try. So number 1, for me, honesty and integrity are paramount. Okay? Number 2, you have to be professional and fair to your shareholders and stakeholders, even if it means sometimes displeasing your family members, like even your own parents. But if you have to be fair, you can't really please everybody. But know that, it's going to be difficult, but in the end, they will realize. So it's better that you displease them, and in the end, they realize you did right, rather than trying to please somebody and creating so much chaos and problems in the organization. Be transparent, okay? And there must always be open channels of communication. Whatever difficulty, whatever conflict, as long as you're able to communicate, you can resolve. And be consistent. Okay. And the most important lessons I learned from my mom, like you, my mom is a lawyer, no? She's not from the Philippines. She's first generation immigrant. She took up her law in the Philippines. And so you can imagine what she went through as an immigrant, and she succeeded. So she always told us that you must always fight for what is right. And don't allow people to take advantage of you. It's all about attitude. One must be fearless and a warrior to succeed. And this is her quote, and I love her quote. She says, "I love a good fight. I like to win, and I always win." But in the real world, we know it doesn't always happen, right? We win some, we lose some. So we have to also be realistic. You love a fight, you don't always win, you don't always win. So we must keep that in mind, because there are so many things beyond our control. And it's really difficult, in business. So in the real world, you don't always win. So be prepared also for losses. And the most important things I learned from life, what goes around comes around. So don't do anything bad. Try to do good as much as you can. So what goes around comes around. Don't cross the line, right? You don't want to get into trouble. So you know where the line is. As they say, in taxation, tax avoidance is legal, tax evasion is illegal. Don't cross the line, okay? Because the best thing that you can leave your children is a good name. That I learned from my dad, that he learned from his dad, and so that is what I want to give my children, and I want my children to give to my grandchildren, a good name. Pay it forward. We've heard that in all the presentations of Sandra and Maret. You are where you are today because of people who helped you, because of people you didn't know from Adam who helped you, because of your mentors. And so whenever you can, because you can't pay them back anymore, you can't pay back the people who helped you, you help other people that you can. So you can pay it forward. And of course, if you were to pray for good luck. Because this is from my father-in-law. He says, every man or woman who works hard will succeed. But who makes it to the big time will depend on the heavens. And so we pray for good luck. So, thank you, and I hope my life's lessons in a nugget has been helpful to you today.
Thank you, Ms. Olivia, for those the inspiring words and lessons, which we can apply when operating in a men's world. So we will now start the Q&A session, which will be moderated by Dr. Janice Santiago, the Basan Cancerala Authorial Chair in Asian Family Corporations. I would like to invite our speakers, our esteemed guests, back on stage so that we can start the discussion.
Good morning. I actually have a question for them, but due to limited time, I want to know if you have questions first. Any pressing questions on the audience? None? So I can start with my question so that we can end early. All of you said that you were chosen, right? In some way, I mean, you're several cousins, you're several sisters, and you were a female and brother. So why did your parents, or is it that way? The leader was your parent who chose you, and why you in particular? Can we have each of you to mention and ask you? Okay, please start.
Okay, so why me? Actually, my parents, we have this business model, industry clustering. We base our businesses on that particular business model. So my father somehow clustered us. So even in the training, I was good in economics, finance, investment banking. So my side, my area of expertise would be in the finance industry. So we set up businesses in the finance because that's one of my expertise. And my brothers were good in marketing, and one is in production. So somehow, that's the choice that they made for us and that we made for ourselves. And when chosen, that's when we, initially there's the expertise already. That's when we developed it and really became a super expert.
But what made your father decide you to be the one to lead the group?
Tough. Galing naman lahat eh. Well, somehow, actually, for us, it's not one leading over the other. It's a collaboration, and rank really doesn't matter among us.
You have the title.
It's difficult. I think you have to ask Olivia and Sandra next.
Olivia.
For me, I think, of course, parents know their children the best. They know the personalities of each and every child that they have. So they know also what kind of personality and character is necessary to run a business. So I think my dad tried to develop some of us when we were young. My sisters were also training, but they kind of dropped out of the course, the training course, when they started having children. But I remember my mother always talking to me about, actually she used the PT thing, but it's like, oh, your dad, so kawawa naman if you have no sons and no one will take over the business. So it's kind of like an indoctrination. But I think later on, my parents told me that they chose me because I had a good sense of right and wrong. That's what they said. I don't know. And then maybe because amongst the sisters, because I was young, I was a bit of a tomboy, I was also kind of stubborn and hard-headed. So I think maybe it all, maybe it's really, kasi when you're young, it's called matigas ang ulo. Pero when you're old, it's called conviction. But then when you're old, you think, you believe in something and you go for it. It's called conviction. So maybe, I don't know, those things that are, and I think maybe it's also because the others were not interested. They dropped off. They dropped out of the training, and then they were left with me. Because I'm number 5 I'm the 5th out of the 7.
Well, actually, my lola was about 91 years old when she said, ikaw na. So, it really, yeah, but ikaw na meant, well, I really work with my brothers, and it's like they said, you're the face of National Bookstore, so you do these talks, you come out in the newspapers, do the book events, etc. But we really agree on our strategy together as a board. And
But you're several cousins. You're several cousins, right? Who could possibly
they don't work in the National Bookstore.
Yeah, so
It's
you're
just
the
me
only
and my
one.
brothers.
Okay. And are you the eldest?
I'm the eldest.
Okay, so could it have gone to a brother?
I think my brother is a CFO.
Okay.
The other brother is business development, so he's responsible for the concept stores.
Okay.
I think they don't want to do what I do and and so on. And I really enjoy speaking on behalf of National Bookstore or talking to employees. So I guess I execute what we all decided to do together.
Okay. Yes. Is it on?
I think finding a successor is really hard. So because that will be my next challenge, right? Choosing a successor. And it's like, you have kids, you observe them, you think maybe this, but as they grow older, you continue to observe them. And then you train them and you see which ones will pass your training course, right? Or your challenges that you've given them. So until the very end, is when you're ready to make is when you make it. So you really don't know who your successor will be. Who is ready at the time you're ready to make your decision?
But so currently, because we're talking about succession and the question will go there, so how are you training now your children? Are they in the business?
Yes, all of them. Yes, all of them. So I think I'm training them the way I was trained. And then also, of course, I add some of my own.
Okay.
Some of my own training. So, like Mark said, you give. It's hard to teach them. It depends on what stage of business you're in. Like, my expertise is turnaround because when I got in, our company had undergone so much. We suffered a strike and all that, so I had to turn around the business. So I'm also now learning to expand. So if you want to teach your children about crisis management, if there's no crisis, you can't teach. So what you can teach them is only what you're going through now. So if you're going through an expansion phase, you can only teach them how to grow from this size to that, right? So you teach them whatever you can at whatever stage you're in. And then for entrepreneurship, sometimes you have like new business, like we put up our own retail bar now. So we put up an El Nido Beach Bar in Rio El Nido. So that one I gave to my kids, okay?
So we're gonna do that. You are in charge of that. So you know, because if they lose money, you know, you're only losing X amount, not a very big amount, right? So you let them learn the ropes by actually doing it. Because it's really hard to teach entrepreneurship if they have to go through it themselves. You know.
So, what if you're doing the same thing?
Yeah, actually, for the third generation, what we did is, so we have businesses that they may not be interested in. You know, these young people now are into digital marketing and in different kinds of, not in tractors or banks. So what we did, okay, as part of their, what do you call that, tuition lesson, they have, if they have an idea, they have to pitch it to us, the board, no? So they come up with their feasibility, then we critique them. You know, they sent in they presented several projects which we turned down. And then they had, so we look at the feasibility, their passion for it, the way they want to run it. So it's like a pitching event, a regular pitching event. They come to us, they present it, we critique it, we tell them what's wrong, or we flatly reject it. And so far, we approved 2 of their projects, and it's part of the group already. So that's a kind of training we also do to them. Aside from, since we, you know, the training, kind of training we did, that my parents did to us, seems to be working well, we try to do the same to them. They start in low positions. They have no special privileges. The same, and you know, they get their fair of sermon. If they do something wrong, they're given, you know, they're reprimanded. So I guess somehow it's working. They're doing well now. They're advancing in the rung of the ladder. No, so yeah, that's about it.
Questions from the audience? You're sure? Yes, ma'am.
Hi. What do you do when the people who's supposed to seek control, because we're talking about family business, right? When kailangan nyo na to step up, you have to step up. But the person you're supposed to step up to, or assume that position, parang they seem to have this control issue because they were the ones who founded the business and all that stuff. So I guess the question is, when do you say, oh sige, I will have to leave, or either parang there's no like parang 50-50 na, like, because you're just really different from each other and how you manage the business. So how do you now balance that struggle as a child and as the future person who has to take over the family business?
I guess it's really a never-ending, never-ending, because even when my dad officially retired, he was still telling me to do things. But you can't take it away. We're still father and daughter. So you just have to live with it. You just have to live with it but explain to them that it's not possible. This part of entrepreneurial legacy, that being able to stay in business for so long, is that we learn from the elders, and the elders learn from us the new things. No? So it's really a two-way thing. But if I were to turn over to my children, I think I do the same thing as my dad. I would never stop lending. But I think it's really the reality.
Your father meddled until he died.
Yes, but I understood. I understood why. Of course, I didn't like it at times. Sometimes we would fight. And even now, as early as now, me and my children, we also argue. So the more that they're given more responsibility, the more they are nearing the takeover time, the bigger the fights, I would say, because they feel that it should be me. So it's actually normal, I would say. So accept it.
Any follow-up questions? Yes, there's from the beginning.
Good morning. You three are such very strong and confident people. I'd just like to ask if when you started in the family business, when you were in the lowest ranks, you already had this confidence and this sense of authority, or is it something that you learned and something that grew over the years? And with your children or the next generation, do you advise them to have this confidence already from the beginning? Or is it something that, because I'm starting to join my family business, so I admire you and I'm thinking, is it something that I need to have right now? Or is it something I should develop over the years as I climb the ranks in my family business?
No, you don't. You, I think, grow into your confidence by knowing yourself and being comfortable with your own style of leadership. For example, like I have more of a compassionate brand of leadership rather than and try to gain consensus and so on. It might not be. It might not be construed as strength, but actually could be very powerful. So the more you know yourself, the more confident you can become in facing people. But it takes time. I wish I could be as confident as you when I was in my 20s.
I'll add to that. I guess in terms of confidence, you have to have a split personality. You can be confident in people you know you are, when you're really so sure about yourself. Your peers and people younger than you, but then when you are among people who are more knowledgeable, more distinguished, this lack of confidence should drive you to learn and to see what do they have and try to raise yourself.
I think confidence is built with every little success that you make. Gives you that confidence. With every failure, gives you that. With every failure and with every solution to that failure, or you get back on your feet and you're able to move on again, gives you confidence. So it's really built over time. And if you met us when we were young, we're not who we are today, for sure. Of course, you gain experience, you gain knowledge, that also gives you confidence. Every little success, as I said, you make gives you confidence. So it's really part of your developing as a businesswoman, as an executive. You can't expect a young person to know what a woman or a man with 30, 40 years experience, to have. It's really so different talaga. So yeah, you will develop that in time. Maybe you'll be more confident than us at this age, right? So it really depends on how you live your life.
There was a question at the back. Yes. This is from Amay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm here to contest. Good morning. I just want to know, being as leader of your own family corporation, are you also the majority shareholder?
No, our shares are divided equally among family members.
Okay. How about
Yes, I am majority.
Majority.
shareholder.
and equal? Okay, that's very revealing. Thank you.
Yes, at the back. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Bea. Just wanted to ask how you deal with the emotional stability or levels of your staff. If some days they're having a bad day or a good day, or how do you deal with that?
Well, personally, I have more or less a very consistent personality. So, my staff. Oh, okay. How do I deal with them? I don't. I let them be. I don't want to be, burdened. But if it's, an optimistic attitude, I invite them in, and so I can be, I can be, optimistic also.
I think the way I don't spoil my children, I don't spoil my staff. If you have a bad day, deal with it. Because life is not easy. So if you want to cry, cry, but get back to work, because even I have to do that. I think if you want to build a strong team, you have to harden them also. They have to learn how to deal with life. If you spoil them, they won't be a good member of the team. And they also won't develop. So you have to be like a mother and a mentor, and so I don't spoil them. If they can't take it, then they have to leave.
Well, I'm a trained coach, so maybe I'm a bit open when I talk to employees. Sometimes they really open up to me, and I coach them through, and just help them through understanding their emotions. I believe that if they don't feel so good by themselves, they can be productive at work. So I try to help them break through whatever barriers are preventing them from reaching their potential or doing the thing that they need to do. So I try to spend time one-on-one meeting employees or like one-on-one sessions and talking to them.
3 different styles, right? Kind of more. Yeah. Hello, good morning. So I started my own business. I have zero succession planning. I think because I think I know. I used to have this notion that I didn't want my future children to have anything to do with the business. I was afraid that they would like screw things up. But after today, I heard you say something about enchanting them. But there's this thing about young people now about self-discovery and whatever. So how do you sort of enchant them in a way that it seemed like they discovered it themselves? That's my question.
Well, like if they're in the business, they can give you an idea. First you have to show them the value of your company and the value of your products, right? That it's appreciated by consumers, by the market, That's one way to enchant them. Show them the value and the respect that people have towards your company. I think that's also one way. One way is also to encourage them, is to let them also, for instance, they're into marketing. They have a marketing campaign that they pitch to you, and you think it's a good campaign. So support them. If they succeed, they will, they will be enchanted. So there's so many ways to do it. I was just joking about the monetary. That's the worst thing, right? That's the worst thing to enchant them with in the beginning, money. Because everything they do will be equated with money. Because I believe that if you do good, if you do well, the money will follow. So I think the little successes will enchant them, will encourage them, and that they feel ownership because they have contributed something to your company. They have contributed something that added value to your company. So I think that would be the way to enchant them.
Okay. For us, so you're given a choice to work for us or not work for us. If you work for us, you are given benefits and compensation that you would receive if you work for outside. plus a little additional stuff like the continuing the legacy, the more important stuff actually, continuing the legacy of your grandfather, your father, trying to grow the business because you're helping a lot of people, you know, that emotional side. But there is also, sorry, there's also a financial side. You have to pay them what they're worth outside. You cannot pay them, libre naman bahay niya, libre naman yung, no, you have to treat them professionally also.
Hi, good morning. I just have a question because I'm already in my dad's, our family business, and it's primarily male-dominated also. So how did you slowly introduce yourself to that kind of circle? Did your dad bring you along meetings? How did you do it?
Yes, he brought me to all the meetings. I would tag along, listen to the meetings, you know, I just, wherever he went, I tagged along, right? And then even parties, I would tag along. I would get to meet his friends, you know, our suppliers, his colleagues, the lawyers, everything. That was how he introduced me to the circle. Yes.
And drinking also.
Drinking?
It's part of it.
Drinking, we were allowed to drink. We were never restricted in terms of drinking because it's our business. I never restricted my kids as well, right? So, but then if you didn't like to drink, he didn't force us. But we had to know how to make liquors.
I think I mentioned I shadowed him for a long time ever since I can remember. So that shadowing was so evident that when he passed 2 years ago, I was now the one. I took his place in the boards of the different advocacies that he took on before when he was still alive. And so that means that they really knew me ever since, and they knew how I worked, that I was a mini-me of him.
Well, it was my Lola who mentored me, and I joined her meetings. She really broke the glass ceiling so that we didn't have to go through any glass ceiling. There are actually 93% women in National Bookstore. And in our head office, maybe 70% are women. So our challenge actually is to balance it the other way. But like, I also joined networks like Young Presidents Organization and so on to be able to network.
So I'll ask 2 questions and then that's it. Sorry.
Hi, good morning. I also joined our family business, and my question is, how do you maintain a harmonious relationship with family members who work in the business with you, and how do you also mitigate conflicts?
Monthly, we have a board meeting, and these are the members of the board are family members. We discuss business first. You know, we have set agenda, and it's a regular meeting. Set agenda, we discuss operations, marketing, and then the part 2, mahilig kami sa part 2 the family side. So, may agenda din yon. First generation, second generation, third generation, education, policies. So it's kind of formal, a little bit formal, and everything is discussed there. Behind our backs, wala na. We settle everything during the meetings.
Also, would you have a family constitution?
We have a family constitution, even way before that it's just starting. We're not really as big as them, but we already have a family constitution in 2002 or something like that.
Don't have a family constitution yet. But as I mentioned, like we try to discuss conflicts among ourselves. It's really important to discuss because we all have the same goal. We're all aligned there. We know where we want to go. But sometimes the way there, we have different paths. So sometimes we have to just choose one path. I guess what we would want to avoid is everybody going in different directions because we can't agree. But there's always going to be disagreement just by, three siblings. We all have different personalities. We all choose different things. But there's some decisions that we are assigned to certain members of the family. So my brother who's a CFO, he does more of the financial decisions, but he explains it to us and gets our input or agreement or disagreement.
Okay, the last question.
Hi, thank you for your inspiring stories. My question is, we are the founder of the company, so first generation. So our children is like 13 and 17 years old. So my question is, since you mentioned that we need to start our children young so that they could really imbibe in them the value of the company. So do you suggest that their courses in college would be related to the business that we are doing? And second, is there such thing as burnout wherein they feel that nasasakal na sila? And then third is, how do we manage, let's say like us, being over, yung parang, I know there should be lambing so that, we can really make them see that the business is, yung parang okay for them. So, that's my
So,
The course.
At the course, yes. For me, yes, definitely. It's good. It's better that if you have a business that they take a course related to your business, for me. Yeah, because if they take another course, then maybe they don't want to help you anymore. If your intention is for them to help you, right? So, or not, if it's not exactly your line of business, something close, something related, right? And then burnout, baka we're the one to burn out, not them. Because we have more problems than them, right? So, but don't force them too much to the point that they will dislike it. Para make it like fun, like when they were young, I encouraged them also. I gave them salary. When they were working, I gave them salary. I also made them do the banty clock. If they went out for lunch with their lolo and they came back too late, I would bawas the sweldo. If they broke a bottle of liquor, I would charge it to their sweldo for them to learn. So and then the next time the lolo asked them to have lunch, no, we don't want to go. They're gonna deduct our salary. Ganon, diba? So, but too much of that, I think may be correct. They will also have a burnout kasi parang you're forcing them. But as long as they want to, parang you don't make the program too stiff or too difficult for them, they will enjoy it.
I agree with Olive. You have to encourage them to be on the same line. If not the same line, at least a general business course or something, no, an entrepreneurial course. But you cannot force them. I have a son who didn't take up business, who didn't take up engineering. He was in entirely different field. He's in media culture communications. So parang siguro the marketing side. But I just let him pursue his passion because he really writes so well. He's so interested in culture, media. Afterwards, so he's working for a casting agency. Artista. No, he's working for a casting agency. And then we were discussing, even if he doesn't join the family business, actually join us in the present operations, he can create a new company and add it to the group in his expertise. Now, it's a very good value adding if he's not there. And then,
My kids are as young as yours, so I let them, during summers, I let them go through like a kiddie crew for NDS with their friends to make it fun. So there's a tour, they also do cashiering. My daughter likes to announce in the in the store. So it becomes fun for them. And I want them to see that, being part of National Bookstore, having that as your heritage is something to be proud of because Lola worked hard for it.
Thank you. Last na.
Hi, I'm Fretchie. I would just like to ask if your family, what's your opinion on mergers and acquisition? Has the family been offered a tempting deal to take over the business, will you be tempted to or continue the legacy of of your forefathers?
I'll answer it first, being the oldest. Actually, no, we will never sell, and that is the billion of my parents. My dad said, you're never to sell the company. I'm giving you majority of the shares, but you must promise me that you will continue the legacy for us long, and that your children will continue the legacy. So, because we have 165 years, how many companies have survived that long? And so that for us, no amount of money will make us sell our company. And by the way, if I can share something, on Monday, we are going to launch our company, Distillería del Tuaco Museum in Intramuros. So after that, it will be open to the public where you can go through, like we were sharing our family legacy, our heritage, our history through a museum. And it's near Lyceum. So next time you have time, please drop by, or maybe your kids who want to see, a little bit of history. That's going to be officially launched on Monday.
I'm in my background is investment banking. If the value is way, way, way above what we value our companies, I guess we can be open to that. But at this point, we're not.
Right now, we're focusing on growing the business, scaling up, and laying the groundwork for, the supply chain and the back end of the business. So we're really focused on that right now. But who knows, one day we could consider an IPO. But we are preparing for the eventuality, but we don't have any set plans yet.
That's it. That's all. Thank you. Thank you. So we'll go on forever. So they're quite lucky in the sense that they do have very supporting spouses that allows them to do that work, and very supporting parents at that, no? And I think for the rest, if you wanted to lead your family business, you have to find the right husband, I think. That's true. See, that's true. Okay. Part of the selection process.
My husband went to AIM.
Okay. Okay, great.
Batch 3 of Masters in Entrepreneurship.
Really, after ME? Oh, kilala ni Fred. Okay, great. So, I wish to thank our panelists. We will have some token of appreciation. This is I don't know by random. So, I hope you can see what we're giving you. So, the first is to, Miss Olive. And then, photo us and then later, everybody. And hope you like our. Show them if you want.